Everyone ignored the millionaire's deaf daughter until a shy waitress spoke to her in sign language. The Harrington mansion was bathed in the soft amber light of late afternoon. In the master bedroom, little Lily stood before the tall mirror, her small hands trembling as she tried to clasp her mother's pearl necklace. It was the only keepsake she always carried close, a delicate chain once belonging to the woman she had never met. Michael stood behind, silently watching. He saw his daughter struggle, lips pressed tight, eyes filled with determination. The sight pierced him. For years he had witnessed Lily's relentless fight to prove she could do everything on her own, that she did not need pity. He stepped forward, bent down gently. His large hands moved awkwardly in the language he had been struggling to learn for years. "Let me help you, Princess." Lily looked up at her father. For a moment, hesitation flickered in her eyes. Then she shook her head softly. It was not stubbornness, it was pride. She wanted to finish it herself, to conquer those trembling fingers. Michael paused. He knew this child carried a determination that few adults could match. His heart ached, yet he felt admiration. And he understood then. The silence between them was not merely the absence of sound. It was an invisible wall he had never found a way to break. After several attempts, Lily finally fastened the necklace. A triumphant smile spread across her face as she gazed at her reflection. Michael smiled too, signing slowly, "You look beautiful, just like your mother." Lily lowered her eyes, the light dimming in them. That mother had never existed in her memories. She had left this world the moment Lily entered it. Yet her presence lived on, captured in photographs that adorned the mansion, in keepsakes Michael carefully preserved. He never allowed the house to be void of her memory. Pictures of the woman with the gentle smile filled every corner, as if that alone could mend the emptiness. But Michael knew too well, no photograph could replace real arms to hold his child. He glanced at his watch. Nearly 7 o'clock. The gala would begin in half an hour. He had never liked bringing Lily to such places, where pitying stares and curious whispers wounded her. But tonight he had no choice. His assistant had fallen ill. The nanny had canceled at the last minute. Michael bent down, signing carefully. "Are you ready? We'll only stay for a little while. I promise we'll leave early." Lily nodded, yet her hands gripped her dress tightly, and her eyes betrayed her unease. The drive to the hotel passed in familiar silence. Michael glanced sideways at his daughter by the window. She was lost in the quiet dance of her fingers, shaping small signs to herself. He wondered, in that silent world, what she was thinking, what she was dreaming. Years of learning sign language, and still he felt there was a door he could never open, the door into his daughter's heart. By the time the father and daughter arrived, the party was already in full swing. The moment they stepped inside, all eyes inevitably turned toward Michael Harrington. He was the name revered in the world of technology, a man who had risen from nothing to become a symbol of success. Wherever Michael went, admiration followed, along with respect and sometimes quiet envy. And yet, right beside him, his 8-year-old daughter Lily might as well have been invisible. No one bent down to greet her. No one asked her name. Among polished leather shoes of executives and flowing gowns of socialites, Lily was nothing more than a silent shadow. Her wide eyes roamed the room, landing on faces that smiled, but never at her. She clutched her father's hand tightly, seeking an anchor in the sea of noise. Lily had been born deaf. To many, that was a flaw. To her, silence was never empty. It was the familiar world she had carried since her very first breath, a private language all her own. But here, in the thunder of voices and applause, she felt emptier than ever. This silence was not born of her ears. It was carved by indifference. Michael kept his composure, nodding politely. He was used to this division, he the center of attention, while his daughter remained unseen. Yet every time it happened, a dull ache burned in his chest. As they passed a row of white-draped tables, Guillermo Torres, president of the Business Association, approached. His booming voice filled the space. "Michael, my friend, so good to see you. And this must be... He glanced at Lily, hesitation in his eyes. "This is my daughter, Lily," Michael said quickly, his tone firm. "Oh, of course, Lily. You're very pretty," Guillermo replied, but his voice rose unnaturally, each word exaggerated, as if speaking to someone incapable of understanding. Michael felt the small hand in his own tighten. He drew a breath, steadying his irritation, then said clearly, "She can read lips if you speak normally and look her in the eye. Lily understands everything." Guillermo flushed, muttered an apology, then swiftly changed the subject, tugging Michael toward a group of investors. Before leaving, Michael gestured for Lily to sit at a nearby table. Lily nodded, moving toward the assigned seat. She pulled out her notebook from her small purse and began sketching. Lines took form, adults with wide-open mouths, but no ears. In the corner, a little girl with large eyes and visible ears, but no mouth. It was how Lily saw herself in this world. Meanwhile, in the bustling kitchen, Sofia Alvarez balanced a tray of champagne flutes, her hands trembling. Tonight was her first time serving at such an elite event. Her heart pounded as Rodrigo, the maitre d', had reminded her, "These guests expect perfection. Work quietly, no mistakes." Taking a steadying breath, Sofia entered the hall. She moved gracefully from table to table, placing glasses, offering a polite smile. Everything flowed smoothly until she reached table 10. There, a small girl sat alone, head bowed over her notebook. Her lavender dress and pearl necklace stood out, but it was the loneliness radiating from her that caught Sofia's breath. She froze. Those wide eyes reflected the same solitude she had seen countless times, in her brother Daniel, isolated because he was different. Setting the tray on the table beside her, Sofia lowered herself to the child's level and smiled. "Would you like something to drink?" she asked gently. No response. The girl kept drawing as if she hadn't heard. Sofia almost repeated herself when she noticed the small device behind the child's ear, a hearing aid. Her chest tightened. In that instant, memories of Daniel flooded back. The countless moments he had sat silent at school, ignored, invisible. The familiar ache urged her to act differently this time. Sofia inhaled deeply, then let her hands move, shaping careful signs. "Hello, my name is Sofia. Would you like something to drink?" Lily's head jerked up. Her eyes widened, shock, disbelief, and then they lit up, shimmering as if touched by magic. The pencil slipped from her hand. Her small fingers flew in response. "My name is Lily. You really know sign language?" A soft smile tugged at Sofia's lips. She nodded, signing back. "Yes, my younger brother is deaf. We've signed to each other since we were children." And in that moment, amid music and chatter, a quiet world blossomed, pure, gentle, a space where two souls truly saw each other. The conversation between Lily and Sofia grew lively, the little girl's hands dancing rapidly in the air. Lily's face glowed, her eyes sparkling, so different from the quiet sadness she usually carried. Every sign exchanged was a thread binding two souls together, a forgotten child and a young woman who understood exactly what that felt like. "No one here knows sign language except my dad, but he's always busy?" Lily signed slowly, her eyes drifting toward Michael, still surrounded by businessmen. Sofia gave a gentle smile and signed back. Sometimes adults get so caught up talking that they forget to listen. But you deserve to be listened to. A soft, voiceless laugh escaped Lily, her shoulders trembling. That smile pierced Sofia's heart. She saw in Lily the reflection of her brother Daniel, who had once longed for someone to understand him. Sofia had learned to sign so that he would never be left alone in silence. When Lily showed her the drawing she had just finished, adults with wide mouths but no ears, Sofia froze. The loneliness on the page was almost too heavy to bear. "You're very talented. This drawing is beautiful and powerful." Sofia signed slowly. Lily's hands replied quickly. "No one cares. I just draw, so I won't get bored when people leave me out." Sofia felt her chest tighten. She knew that feeling all too well. Then an idea sparked. She leaned closer, her eyes glowing with determination. "Do you like plants? At the Botanical Garden, there's a special program for deaf children. My brother Daniel volunteers there. This Sunday we're having a tour. Would you like to come?" Lily's eyes widened, light bursting within them. She nodded so eagerly that her pearl necklace trembled. "Really? I can go?" "Of course. I'd love to see you there." In that moment, the noise of the gala seemed to fade away. What remained was a small island of silence where two people had found each other with the promise of something new. Across the room, Michael, just freed from investors, turned back. He caught sight of his daughter, animated, laughing silently through her hands with the young waitress. He had never seen Lily so alive at one of these events. A strange feeling welled inside him. Gratitude mixed with curiosity. Who was this girl? How could she, with only a few movements of her hands, accomplish what he and countless specialists had failed to do? Lily's smile was radiant, her small hands dancing in the air. Sofia answered each sign, her heart brimming with warmth. But just as the conversation grew lively, a sharp voice cut through the hall. "Sofia, table 8 needs service now." She startled, glancing at Lily with regret. The little girl signed slowly, eyes clouded with disappointment. "You have to go?" Sofia nodded, kneeling to reply, "I'll come back. Remember, I still need to tell you about the Botanical Garden." Lily's eyes brightened again, though tinged with sadness. Reluctantly, Sofia rose, lifted her tray, and slipped back into the tide of the gala. From across the room, Michael had seen it all. He noticed how his daughter's gaze followed the young waitress until she vanished behind the kitchen door. In Lily's eyes, he glimpsed anticipation, something he hadn't seen in far too long. When the gala finally ended, Michael and Lily stepped out into the cool night air. The faint scent of jasmine drifted through the hotel gardens. "Did you enjoy yourself, Lily?" Michael signed. She nodded eagerly, then opened her sketchbook, pointing to her newest drawing, a young woman and a small girl signing together. Beneath it, she had written in pencil, "Someone who really understands me." Michael's chest tightened. Before he could respond, a gentle voice called out, "Mr. Harrington." He turned. Sofia stood there, holding a thin coat, her face still touched with fatigue after the long shift, yet her eyes shining. "I'm sorry to disturb you. I just wanted to remind you, this Sunday the Botanical Garden is hosting a tour for deaf children. My brother is a volunteer there. I thought Lily might enjoy it." Lily tugged her father's sleeve, her eyes gleaming. Her hands moved quickly. "Dad, let's go. Please, please." Michael looked at her, then at Sofia. He saw the sincerity in her gaze, unmasked and genuine. After a brief pause, he nodded. "We'll be there." Lily burst into a voiceless laugh, her hands flying too fast to follow. "I'll count the days. I'll bring my sketchbook too." Sofia bent down, signing back warmly, "I'll be waiting." In the days that followed, Lily marked off her calendar eagerly. Each morning she rushed downstairs to show Michael the number remaining. "Dad, only 4 days left. Tomorrow it's 3?" Every night she filled her sketchbook with new drawings, flower beds, butterflies, and Sofia's gentle smile. Michael watched quietly, realizing that the anticipation wasn't Lily's alone. Somehow, he too found himself counting down the days to Sunday. On Sunday morning, the sky was clear, a soft breeze rustling the trees outside. In the spacious Harrington kitchen, the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. Michael rarely had time to prepare breakfast, but today he wanted this special day to begin differently. Lily had woken early, already dressed in the yellow floral dress she had chosen the night before. She twirled before the mirror, her pearl necklace swaying. As she came down the stairs, her eyes sparkled. "Dad, I'm ready!" she signed with excitement. Michael smiled and nodded. He had never seen her so eager for an outing. On the way to the botanical garden, Lily sat in the back seat, her hands practicing new signs over and over. Every so often, she would look up and ask, "Do you think Sofia will like this dress?" Michael hesitated, glancing at her through the mirror. That simple question told him how much space Sofia had already taken in his daughter's heart. At the garden gates, the iron opened to reveal a vast green paradise. Stone paths wound through rows of colorful plants. A small group of families had gathered, children chatting and signing. Sofia was already there, hair loose, dressed in a simple white blouse. Her eyes lit up as she waved back at Lily. Beside her stood Daniel, tall and slim, a friendly smile on his lips, small hearing aids behind his ears. Lily dashed forward, hands flying. "Hello, I'm Lily. I love plants too." Daniel chuckled, responding with fluent signs. "I'm Daniel. My home is full of plants. Today I'll show you the most special ones here." Michael followed at a slower pace. As he approached, his gaze met Sofia's. For a moment, silence hung between them, not empty, but full of meaning. The tour began. Daniel guided the group down shaded paths, signing and speaking slowly as he introduced each plant. Lily was captivated, her eyes widening at the purple orchids, then sparkling as they reached the carnivorous plants. "They can really eat bugs? That's amazing!" She signed so quickly that Sofia laughed aloud. Michael stood nearby, watching his daughter shine. In the sunlight, her smile bloomed like a newly opened flower. At the orchid garden, Daniel carefully placed a small pot in Lily's hands. Inside was a pale lavender phalaenopsis. "This is for you," he said. "If you care for it well, it will bloom every year." Lily's eyes glistened. She hugged the little pot to her chest, then suddenly wrapped her arms around Daniel. The teenager froze, then smiled and returned the hug. Michael's chest tightened at the sight. Part gratitude, part ache. His daughter had found connection in someone else, something he had never been able to fully give her. While Lily and Daniel chatted, Michael and Sofia strolled slowly beneath a canopy of leaves. "Your brother is remarkable," Michael said sincerely. "Daniel is stronger than people think," Sofia replied. "We learned to sign together after the accident that cost him his hearing. Those days were hard, but they made us a close family." Michael listened in silence, her words sinking deep. He realized that while he had hired experts and sought special schools, Sofia had chosen the simplest path, learning together, walking beside her brother. That choice had made all the difference. That afternoon, as the botanical garden tour came to an end, the last rays of sunlight spilled gold across the stone paths. Lily hugged her tiny orchid pot as if it were treasure. She signed rapidly to Michael, recounting everything she had discovered: carnivorous plants, leaves that followed the sun, and the stories Daniel had shared about his world. Michael listened, heart full. Yet what moved him most was not the new knowledge his daughter had gained, but the shining joy in her eyes. He had never seen Lily so alive in a crowded setting. Sofia approached with a gentle smile, still carrying a trace of shyness. Daniel walked beside her, holding a stack of plant notes. As they drew near, Lily signed quickly. "Dad, let's invite them to our house. I want to show them Mom's garden." Michael froze for a moment. The suggestion had come from Lily, the child who usually withdrew, avoiding strangers. He looked into her hopeful eyes, then turned toward Sofia and Daniel. "I know today has already been busy for you, but if you have time this week, I'd like to invite you both for dinner at my home. Lily would love to share the garden her mother left behind." Sofia hesitated, her fingers tightening on her bag strap. She wasn't used to luxury and never imagined a man like Michael Harrington would extend such an invitation. Daniel glanced at his sister, nodding slightly, a quiet encouragement. "We would be honored," Sofia said softly, sincerely. "I'm off work at the restaurant this Wednesday. If that works for you—" Michael smiled. "Wednesday will be perfect. I'll keep it simple. Nothing to worry about." Lily nearly jumped with joy, throwing her arms around Sofia and then Daniel. Her hands signed excitedly. "I'll show you my room, and all my drawings too." Sofia hugged her back, eyes stinging. In that small embrace, she felt a trust so pure, something rare in her world. In the days that followed, the Harrington home felt transformed. Lily busied herself cleaning her room, carefully choosing which books and drawings to display. The tiny orchid was placed in a place of honor on her desk. Michael felt himself changing too. Instead of locking himself in the study at night, he joined Lily in the garden, listening as she explained how she would guide Sofia and Daniel through each corner. A quiet anticipation stirred in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known in years. And as Wednesday evening drew near, both father and daughter found themselves counting the hours, eager for the moment when their home's doors would open to welcome these special guests. On Wednesday evening, as the old clock struck 7, the doorbell rang. Lily rushed ahead, her floral dress swaying. Michael followed, a nervous flutter in his chest. When he opened the door, Sofia stood there in a simple pale blue dress, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. Daniel was beside her with his familiar backpack. "Thank you for inviting us," Sofia said softly, handing Michael the flowers. "They're beautiful." "Thank you," he replied, passing them to Mercedes, the longtime housekeeper, to place in a vase. "Please come in." They entered the dining room. Michael had chosen the smaller table near the garden window instead of the grand banquet hall. On the table lay a modest meal, homemade pasta, fresh salad, and a small chocolate cake. Sofia was taken aback. She had expected something elaborate, but instead found warmth and simplicity. "I wanted the evening to feel comfortable," Michael explained, glancing at Lily, who was grinning as she pulled out a chair for Daniel. Throughout the meal, conversation flowed easily. Lily sat between Sofia and Daniel, signing constantly, sharing her drawings and dreams of discovering new flowers. Daniel spoke with excitement about his plans to study botany. Sofia chimed in with stories of her days at the restaurant and her university classes. Michael watched quietly. He had never seen his daughter laugh so freely. That sound, fragile and imperfect though it was the sweetest music he had ever known. When the meal ended, Lily took Sofia and Daniel by the hand and led them out into the garden. "Let's go. I want to show you my mother's flower garden. When she was alive, she planted so many beautiful flowers." Lily led them through the glass doors to the back of the house. The garden appeared under the soft golden lights. Deep red roses, purple lilacs, and even the rare orchids Elena had once cared for still bloomed in full splendor. The air was scented with flowers, wrapped in an uncanny calm. Sofia stood in silence, her eyes following the neat rows of blossoms. Daniel bent down to admire a pot of rare orchids, whispering, "So beautiful, like a living memorial garden." Lily ran to a corner of the garden and pointed out a cluster of velvet roses to Sofia. "This was Mom's favorite. I helped Dad take care of it so it won't wither." Sofia knelt down to eye level, her hand brushing gently over the petals. A wave of emotion stirred through her palm, as if she were touching the memory of a stranger who somehow felt familiar. "You've done so well, Lily," she smiled. "This garden still blossoms beautifully because of you." Lily beamed, her eyes sparkling with pride. Michael looked at his daughter, then at Sofia. In that fleeting moment, he felt a quiet understanding, one he hadn't received from anyone in a very long time. Lily turned to Daniel, her eyes sparkling. She quickly signed, "Do you want to see my room? I have lots of paintings of flowers in the garden, too." Daniel laughed, a little embarrassed, but nodded. He glanced at his sister, asking with his eyes. Sofia smiled. "Go ahead. I'm sure Lily has prepared many things to show you." Without hesitation, Lily grabbed Daniel's hand and pulled him along, running and laughing. Her bright laughter echoed through the staircase, leaving behind a gentle quiet in the living room. Just Michael and Sofia. Michael poured more tea, setting the cup in front of Sofia. He sat down, a strange feeling rising in him, both comfortable and nervous. "Thank you for bringing this evening," he said in a warm, deep voice. "I haven't seen Lily laugh this much before." Sofia shook her head slightly, her hands clasped together. "It wasn't me. It was Lily who opened her heart. I just responded." Michael's gaze softened, his voice trembling despite himself. "I tried everything. Specialists, the best schools, the finest devices. But every night I'd find her in her room, alone, drawing children with mouths, but no ears. It broke me. I kept searching for answers, but maybe what she needed was never perfection. Maybe all she needed was to be seen, simply as my little girl." Sofia looked up. Their eyes met. Between them, there was an unspoken understanding. "You're not alone," Sofia whispered. "I've watched Daniel go through the same thing. Friends drifted away, adults pitied him. The only way my brother didn't feel invisible was because I stayed, talked, and listened." Michael nodded, his gaze shifting toward the window where the garden glowed under the lights. He took a deep breath, catching the faint scent of roses drifting in. "Maybe that's what I need to relearn, to listen more instead of trying to fix everything." A comfortable silence fell over them. Sofia set her cup down, her hands trembling slightly, though her eyes shone brightly. "Lily is a wonderful girl, Michael. I believe she will blossom as long as someone is always there to remind her she isn't different." Michael smiled faintly. It had been so long since he'd heard words that touched the very core of his heart. Upstairs, Lily and Daniel's voices echoed down, laughing, signing to each other. The sound made Michael exhale with relief. He turned back to Sofia. "Thank you for seeing her in a way so many never have." Sofia stayed silent. Just for a moment, but in her eyes there was something, gentle, steady, and strangely close. Since that evening, Michael's house began to change. No longer just a quiet space filled with work and solitary meals, it slowly turned into something warmer. Twice a week, Sofia and Daniel came to teach Lily sign language. But soon, those lessons became much more than lessons. At first, it was just Lily and Daniel sitting together at the table, signing simple words and laughing at small mistakes. Sofia sat beside them, patiently explaining, while Michael stood at a distance, quietly observing. Yet before long, he began joining in. At first, only with simple words like eat, sleep, happy. Then, gradually, his hands grew more fluent. One evening, while Sofia was teaching a longer sentence, Michael suddenly joined in. His hands were clumsy, but determined. "Daddy loves you." Lily's eyes widened, then her face lit up with the brightest smile. She ran to hug him tightly, her small fingers signing back quickly. "I love you too." The moment left Sofia deeply moved, while Michael realized he had just taken a step closer to his daughter, one he had been missing for years. That night, as he walked the guests to the car, Daniel skillfully went ahead, leaving Michael and Sofia a moment of quiet. "Thank you for everything," Michael said softly. "Today, Lily was so happy." "That's because of the love you give her," Sofia gently replied. "I only played a small part." They stood close, the night breeze brushing past them. Michael hesitated, then murmured, "Sofia, I think I might be." He stopped, his heart pounding. She looked at him, her eyes trembling yet shining. "I feel it too. I'm afraid, because our worlds are so different. But I can't deny it." Michael gently took her hand. "We don't have to rush, as long as we're together, step by step." Sofia smiled, her fingers lacing tightly with his. Slowly, but together. Then he leaned in and placed a tender kiss on her lips. Upstairs, Lily stood by the window, her smile glowing as she watched her father and Sofia kissing beneath the moonlight. 6 months passed faster than Michael could have imagined. The once quiet, empty house was now filled with laughter. Twice a week, family sign language lessons became a tradition. Lily, Daniel, Sofia, and Michael sitting around the table, practicing, laughing at silly mistakes. Michael was no longer the clumsy man with stiff hands. He could now speak freely with his daughter, bridging the gap that had long separated them. On sunny weekends, they tended the garden together. Daniel marveled at the rare plants, while Lily eagerly named her favorites. Sofia and Michael often sat nearby, sharing small stories about work, about dreams, and sometimes about old memories. There were visits to the botanical garden too, where Lily dashed around, hands signing nonstop, Daniel patiently answering her every question. Sofia watched with quiet joy, then looked at Michael, their eyes meeting in a wordless understanding. Shared meals became a new rhythm. No longer awkward silence around a vast dining table, but the sound of conversation, clinking dishes, and Lily's bright laughter. She was no longer the invisible girl at formal banquets. Now she was a child full of life, with friends who truly listened. Michael changed as well. The weariness that once weighed him down gave way to a quiet hope. He saw not only a brighter future for his daughter, but for himself. Each day it grew clearer. Sofia wasn't only the one who touched Lily's heart. She was the one opening a new chapter in his own. One spring afternoon, Michael decided it was time. With Lily and Daniel's secret help, he prepared a surprise. In the garden, where Elena had once planted her first flowers, Michael set a small table with a vase of red roses, her favorite. Lily held Sofia's hand excitedly, while Daniel signed to his sister. "Come on, you need to see this." As Sofia stepped into the garden, Michael was waiting, nervous yet resolute. Lily and Daniel stepped back, leaving the space just for them. Taking a deep breath, Michael signed and spoke, using the language he had spent months learning. "Sofia, these past 6 months have changed everything. You've brought laughter not just to Lily, but to me. You've reminded me what it means to live, to hope. I want us to be a real family." Sofia froze, eyes brimming with tears. Michael knelt, holding out a simple yet elegant ring. Lily couldn't resist, signing quickly. "Mom, say yes. Be Dad's wife." Daniel grinned and nodded. "You deserve this happiness, Sofia." Through her tears, Sofia laughed. She covered her mouth with one hand, then slowly nodded. "Yes, Michael, I will." Michael slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands trembling, but his eyes shining. Lily rushed in to hug them both, Daniel joining, and in that moment, they were truly a family. The wedding was simple, yet overflowing with joy. No grand hall, just the blooming garden, where Elena had once planted love, now bearing witness to a new beginning. Lily wore a little white dress, scattering rose petals with every step. Daniel stood proudly beside her. Sofia walked forward, her eyes glowing beneath the soft afternoon sun. Michael waited, his heart racing yet calm in a way he hadn't felt in years. The vows were simple, but they carried everything: acceptance, trust, and love without need for grand words. When Michael and Sofia clasped hands, the whole garden seemed to shine. The final picture: 4 people, Michael, Sofia, Lily, and Daniel, laughing together beneath an arch of flowers. And in the center, Lily lifted her small hands to sign one simple word that needed no sound: family. A new family, not perfect, but whole.